Everybody, thanks for watching. Now, we have to be more mindful about what we put in our body. Now, I did a video before on, food. What the fuck are they doing to our food? And I showed you these people are seriously trying to kill us. They're putting things in food that would seriously cause health issues. A lot of the times we don't worry about what goes into the food as long as the food tastes good. People generally do not care. A lot of people are really suckered in by ads and by cheap food. And a lot of people just can't really afford nor have the knowledge to go and buy the type of foods that their body really need. Now, one of the things that's crazy is you wouldn't think that, people would actually do such a thing to food, to contaminate food and to, use low cost tactics to basically save money, but at the cost of people's health. You think that, we see commercials when you walk into a supermarket, you would think, there's some kind of law in place that will basically hinder these people from putting any kind of, harmful stuff in foods. Even stuff that you won't feel the effects of, immediately, long term. So you will see, when you start looking at a lot of people, once they reach a certain age, 65 and up, when you start paying attention to the types of diseases these people, have. Brain diseases, Alzheimer's, dementia, things like this is what we find commonly dealing with people, past a certain age. Heart disease, heart problems. And all this stuff stems from food. Poor eating habits, poor diets, and what you put in your body. You have people who consume far too much complex carbohydrates, which basically is going to lead to poor health. It's going to lead to fatigue. It's going to lead to heart issues, brain issues. You can't consume too much of these foods. Consuming too many complex carbohydrates can result in memory loss and a lot of brain diseases. It can cause plaque on the brain. And there's so many different processed foods that we find as being a source, to these problems, to things like Alzheimer's and dementia. So a lot of people don't realize that, a lot of these corporations are putting things in the food that has effects on the brain and on the heart and on your muscles, over time. Now, when it comes to people being vegan or being vegetarian, I do not knock any of these people, not one bit. It's one of the things that if you understand what they're doing to the food, but you understand that there are nutrients, as I talked about before, there are nutrients in meat that you can only get from meat that is good for the brain. I talked about this before, but if you understand that and you understand, one, that you can't really find foods to supplement some of these nutrients, and there's not many supplements out there to you can take to in place of meat. And you have to understand, one, that these nutrients are very important. And when you find patients with Alzheimer's and dementia, when they look at the brain, they find that there's a severe deficiency of these nutrients in the brain, which causes the brain to shrivel up, which causes the brain to basically lose connections. When you see people with Alzheimer's and dementia, the cells in the brain are basically dead. They begin to die. And it's a severe deficiency of these nutrients that is the cause of this. So, what can you trace this stuff back to? A lot of the patients, a lot of the people who have eaten meat, they are meat eaters, they are not vegans or vegetarians, but the problem is the type of meat that they're eating, the meat that they're consuming that is not giving them a natural source of these vitamins and nutrients. It's not giving them these vitamins and nutrients because they're dead in the meat that they're eating. So when you eat these processed foods, these processed meats, and this is all you consume, then this is the problem that you have. You have to pay attention to what they have done. Now, I talked about the laws they have passed. It's illegal for you not to follow the guidelines of the FDA. And when you understand what the FDA wants as far as processing food and putting out food to the public, it's insane. It's insane. They really support pesticides and all kinds of chemicals used in meats and used in foods. I talked about the bovine growth hormone that they put in the cows, for the milk, and how the bovine growth hormone is just horrible. It's just something that you definitely don't want to consume when you understand what it is. Now, yes, you need calcium. Calcium is good for the bones, and you can supplement calcium with calcium pills, of course. But calcium is an important nutrient for the bones for grown folks. When you are young, when you get to a certain age, of course, you feed from your mother. But, of course, when you stop feeding from your mom, you're supposed to supplement that calcium with milk, which is why they always try to push milk on the children to get this calcium. The problem is, again, when you use, cow's milk, and when you use this milk that has all kinds of chemicals and horrible stuff in it, you are not really getting the nutrients you need for the body. You may get calcium, but what is the point of getting calcium when you're getting a whole bunch of other horrible diseases, horrible chemicals from this milk that's hurting the rest of your body? So these are things that we got to pay attention to and look at and see that, remember, the agenda is to get you out of here as fast as possible. Fast as possible. You hit 65 and you start getting these diseases, you're on your way out the door. And in some cases, some people can get through them and they can deal with them, and they can have treatments to help them, live the rest of their life with Alzheimer's and dementia, what have you. But for the most part, people who suffer from it don't have the money to keep up with, the cost of the medicines and the treatments or what have you. A lot of people don't have the family members there to really deal with people with these types of diseases. So they get, thrown by the wayside, or they're not properly treated and they end up passing. This is something that I don't want to see happen to people. And we are, if you are in my age bracket, I'm 35, about to be 36 soon. If you in my age bracket, if you're getting up there in age, you need to understand what you probably have been consuming for most of your life, that the effects are going to start to show up pretty soon. So now here's the thing. We know with meat, you have these nutrients, you have these vitamins. We know we have docosahexaenoic acid, or DHA. We have taurine. We have vitamin B12, we have vitamin D3, we have creatine, we have other nutrients, we have other proteins that we get from meat. Now the thing is, again, when you do not have a natural supply of these nutrients and other nutrients as well as a bunch of them, then this is when you start having problems. The supplement that you're getting from this contaminated meat, from these bad foods, is not truly helping the brain. It's breaking the brain down over time. So what they have basically done is kind of sort of take out the good nutrients in meat, or contaminate the good nutrients in meat. So instead of it doing what it's supposed to do as far as, helping the brain, the heart, the muscles, or what have you, it is slowly breaking it down over time. These people are sick. You have to understand this. They are sick, disgusting people. We all understand it. But they're replacing it. They're replacing these nutrients with contaminated nutrients, so to speak. It's tough to explain without getting really deep into it, but it's something I have been looking into for a long time. When I had a video about food, I really got into some of the things, but I think most people now have a general understanding about what we can expect from food in America from these corporations. Now, when you look at taurine is an amino acid. It's found in meat, found in fish, and it's an amino acid. It's also in Red Bull. It's what they was talking about as saying that Red Bull has bull urine or bull semen in it. It was the taurine they was talking about, but it's not, bull urine or bull piss or what have you. It's crazy. But taurine is actually an amino acid that actually happens very commonly in the body. About 70%, I believe, of our body naturally produces taurine. But you find it in Red Bull, you find it in meat or what have you, and it helps the brain. It stimulates the brain, it stimulates the muscles, it helps the heart, it helps your eyes. So it's not something that is bad, but it's something that you're really going to need to have when you eat meat. It's something you're going to need to have for the body. Even though the body produces it, what helps produce it is meat. But you can supplement some of this stuff, of course. believe it or not. But a lot of people drink Red Bull, and some of these energy drinks supposedly contain nutrients, but they have a really high dose of sugar, and they have issues with that stuff. It's stuff that you just shouldn't mess with, and it's tough to tell people what they should and shouldn't put in their body, which is why I don't like to say eat this, eat that. It's just you have to have a basic knowledge about what the body needs and what the body must have in order to function properly. When you look at a label and you don't recognize none of that stuff, and it's not all natural, it's something you shouldn't put in your body. If you understand the nutrients that your body naturally produces and what you should put in your body as far as nutrients, vitamins, and everything like that, this is what you should see. And some of the stuff is, they try to say is a supplement for those nutrients. And, you can have supplement for those nutrients, but what you really want something that's not completely natural for your body. And these are the issues that we have. These are the issues that we face. So, taurine definitely is one that is good. We know that people who have Alzheimer's and schizophrenia and all these debilitating diseases or what have you, they always find like it's a lack, creatine, it's a lack of vitamin D12, which you can supplement some of the stuff, as I keep saying. D3, we know about D2 you find in plants, but D3 you can supplement with sunlight. We know docosahexaenoic acid is basically really important as far as normal brain development. It's important as being one of the omega-3 fatty acids that you really have. These acids, and fatty acids are important to just, survival, to living. And it is really important in children to have these omega-3 fatty acids and, help with normal production of the child's brain. And all this stuff is, just contaminated and just, messed up in a lot of these foods that we've been finding in local supermarkets. And you have what they call white foods, white bread, sugar, flour, white rice. A lot of these things are linked to Alzheimer's later on in life. And it's a lot of foods that, we found processed cheeses and, Cheese Whiz and sausages and things like that. All these processed meats and foods, all of this stuff is linked to Alzheimer's. All of this stuff is just bad for you and created, to get you out of here. They made this stuff a long time ago, and we've been consuming these foods for most of our lives. Our parents gave us this stuff without knowledge of what it does to us. And a lot of people I have a lot of people who I know, dying in their 30s. A lot of people are checking out of here because of, food, because of their diet. It is stupid to die in your 30s because of some shit that you ate, because you ate too much Chinese food. And you have to understand what the stuff does to the body over time and how the stuff is building up on the brain in ways that you don't see yet. And they can't go in, when a person has Alzheimer's, when they have dementia, they can't just go and operate on the brain. The stuff they found out later after the person passes, when they start seeing the symptoms and, problems that the brain had. So this is stuff that now you might not be seeing the effects of unless it's really, really bad. But stuff that's going to show up later on. You have, nitrites. Nitrites they find in bacon, beer, processed foods. Again, nitrites is seriously harmful. It can cause, memory loss. It's linked with dementia and Alzheimer's or what have you. It's linked to a lot of brain diseases and heart diseases like Parkinson's, and people start, developing depression and, fatigue problems and a lot of physical issues because of this food. And it's just stuff that, we're not really paying attention to, and we need to be a lot more mindful of because we get so distracted by everyday life that we are not really paying attention 100% to what we put in our body. It's not enough of this kind of information going around to get people to really understand the effects, of food. Now, I want to give a shout out to Diana Harris, who's taking care of her father who has Alzheimer's. She was the person who contacted me and said, you need to talk about this a little bit more. I know I've lost somebody who I knew to Alzheimer's, and I know friends who have as well. And it's something you got to start thinking about. It's a light bulb that, went off in my head when Diana contacted me, because I was like, damn, you know what? It's like over the last few years, like 4 people that I've known, that was up there in age, aunts and, friends, aunts and grandparents or what have you, who passed because of this. So it's like, what the hell, And when you have people that live in, inner city, and you understand the type of foods that is sold there, and that, when you get to a certain age, when you get comfortable with certain foods, you tend to keep getting this stuff, and that's the problem. And having a favorite food is like, it's an addiction. Food is an addiction. Just like a person who has a drinking problem or a drug problem, it's tough to get through to them. You tell them to stop, you tell them to quit. They make up stuff. They try to find ways to justify their addiction. And when it comes to food, we do the same thing. Food makes people happy, and you don't want to take something away from somebody that makes them happy. It's tough to do that, and people will, fight and claw and scratch, to keep their food and keep their favorite foods. But it's a lot, with education and understanding what to eat and how to eat and ways to do things. There's a lot of food that you can eat that's good, that you can get away with eating, understanding what to do, as far as, fasting, as far as, supplements and nutrients, and making sure you don't overconsume these foods. I talked about before how we overconsume meat. This is a huge problem, very huge problem. And overconsuming is also contributed to dementia and Alzheimer's or what have you, schizophrenia, Parkinson's, and all these other brain diseases. When you overconsume, you're supposed to only consume between 400 and 600 grams of meat per week. So when you reach this capacity, you're supposed to chill out. And if you're already eating meat, you should be fasting. You should not eat meat every single day. If meat is on your plate every day, you have a problem. If meat is contained in all the foods that you eat every single day, you have a problem. This is something you have to stop. You can't just consume meat every single day unless you consume it in little bitty drops, instances to where it's a small amount of meat in your food that's not going to go over the necessary capacity of meat, not exceeding, 600 grams in a week. So, when you really be mindful about that, that's not that much meat. If 5 ounces is 80 grams. So the cookers start off with about 5 ounces of meat, but by the time they cook that thing down, you're going to end up with about 80 grams. So, 5 ounces would be about 141 grams, but after the meat is cooked, you'll end up with about 80. So this is stuff we have to take into account, and this is stuff that a lot of people just don't have time to be mindful of, counting calories and grams or what have you. And this is one of those things to where I'm shocked that people have not come together on as far as the food. Now, don't get me wrong. You have a lot of people protesting Monsanto and all these other, Purdue and these other food companies that, been producing crazy contaminated meat that have been found to have, outrageous issues when it comes to food production. And a lot of people have come forward and talked about what really happens in a lot of these places. No outrage. It's just something that I'm shocked that people have not really come together on. You get a few people that's talking about it, but not enough people is really putting it out there. And too much is being promoted that's in the way of what we're putting in our body. The most important thing that we do every day is eat. I mean, if you're going to get people, that's how you get them, with the food. And they've been getting us with the food for too long. We got to really be careful about what we eating and what we taking in, and understand that, it's one of those things where you're not going to be able to say, oh, well, a lot of these problems, when you start having these issues with the brain, as far as, over consuming complex carbohydrates or what have you, it is really hard to reverse these brain defects. When you start having the brain shrink and shut down and cells die in the brain, it's hard to reverse that. You already don't have the mental capacity to do so. So it's tough, so understanding what, everything comes from the body anyway, and what your body can do, and understanding how to naturally produce these nutrients and naturally produce what the body needs. It's just stuff that people don't understand. And either way, you still got to put things in your body to help you do so. So either way, you have to watch what you're putting in, what you're taking in, as far as food consumption. And it's easy. It's easy to just forget about it and go about your day and consume whatever you consume and eat what you like. But it's something you're going to pay for down the road, and this is exactly what they want. It's something that nobody can tell you. It's something that you have to do for yourself and put together your own plan of foods that you're going to like. Because when you do that and you put together what you like and a plan that you can live with, then you'll stick to it versus somebody telling you exactly what to put in your body that you might not like. There are actually websites, and you have people who work at gyms who can give you a list. People will put together like a meal plan for people and give them a meal plan based on their height and weight and the type of foods that they like, that they can, go out and get these foods, and they'll put together like a whole like 9-month food list for you that you can go and eat these foods to lose a certain amount of weight. There's all kinds of stuff out there, but I still think it's better for people to just go ahead and understand what they should put in their body and understand what foods is best for them to go and eat. Again, a lot of people can't afford to go buy the best foods, and that's one of the problems. And this is one of the issues that just goes back to poverty, and this is something that we have to attack as a group, as a society. But for the most part, when you go shopping, it's just some stuff that you can just stay away from or be really mindful of before you buy them, and understand that you are putting something in your body that is going to hurt your body in the long run, that you need to do something to account for, what you just ate. You need to go run, you need to fast, you need to chill for a little bit as far as eating, and just stick to, drinking water or soups or juicing because you ate, some fried chicken or something that's not really going to be really helpful to the body. You have to combat that. You can't just eat shit and then just let it go and say, oh well, I ate it, and just don't do nothing about it. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know what you put in your body. You have to do something to basically remedy what you took. So if you got bit by a snake and you've been poisoned, you want an antidote. And what people are doing is they fucking taking poison and not the antidote. The antidote is right there. It's easy for you to get the antidote, but people are not taking it. Instead, they're letting the poisons build up over time. And you got to understand that these processed meats sends toxins to the brain that breaks the brain down. And you have cells that end up dying in the brain. It's a slow process. So you're eating foods that's causing you to slowly die and cause your brain to slowly shrivel up. If you're having too many headaches, if you're having memory loss, all kinds of problems with depression, problems with energy. If you're eating foods, as I always say, if you eat food and you go to sleep after that, it's draining your energy. I just talked about this in the new DVD. But energy is everything. And it goes back to what you put in your body. It is a complex thing that you have between your natural body energy and your body. So, even though you have this infinite energy, as I talk about, your energy still needs your body to be right in order for it to do what it's supposed to do for the body. So you have to have this symbiotic relationship to where, you make sure your body is right, your energy will do the rest when you go to sleep. And you have this, this pairing to where, mind, body, energy, what have you, comes together to make sure that you are, spiritually correct. But, don't get me wrong, the vegans, they on to something. Now, don't get me wrong, you can find like really good things to help you combat these toxins in salmon. Salmon is a good meat to eat, a good fish. These fatty or cold water fishes, they call them. You can really eat those to really get a lot of nutrients. And you might not realize it now, but down the road, you'll start slipping mentally because you're not getting these nutrients. And what they'll find later on, if you develop dementia and Alzheimer's, that's exactly what happened. And you start getting this plaque build up on the brain, and you start having these brain problems. But, I know a few vegans that is the truth. I mean, they can out-jump a lot of people, but I know that they're actually getting the supplements and helping them get the nutrients that their brain need, and not just sticking to, just vegetables or what have you, and fruits and berries and nuts or what have you. So to each his own. Everybody has a preference, but if you don't understand what this stuff is doing to you, then you're going to have problems down the road. So now that you know, now that you have some type of understanding, even if you don't pay attention to nothing that I'm saying, Go look for yourself, do the research, and understand that these people are sick fucking people, and they are putting stuff in the food. It is very easy for them to create food that is helpful for people. They can make sure that the meat is perfectly made and has all the nutrients for the brain, even if it's processed, but they don't. They're not doing that. So it's sick. These people crazy. And they doing this stuff, for a buck. They doing this to, population control, whatever you want to say. But they doing this stuff to really, get us out of here. And it's really getting people out of here. So this is one of the ways that they're killing off people slowly. And we're killing ourselves slowly by shoveling poison, into our brain, actually. I mean, it's crazy. And we got to be mindful of this stuff and understand that this is just one of the traps of the enemy, one of the traps of this system that is, geared towards getting us out of here. It's a lot of people having problems with, diabetes, heart problems, brain issues. It's a lot of people that just don't care about this stuff. A lot of people who just, they have too much to deal with and to worry about, so they're not really focused on their own health. And that's the number one thing you have to be focused on. You go out here, you do all this work, you work so hard to survive and make a good life. It would be stupid to do all that and go through all this struggle in life just to check out of here because of, some chicken. So I wanted to make this quick video to encourage people to really just be more mindful. Just one of those things to be more mindful about and be more careful about what you put in your body. And understand that, when you go to the market, just because it's in the market, it's not good for you. Just because it's labeled organic don't mean it's organic. There are websites. There are people out there who actually have, good farms to where they will ship meat. I know that sounds crazy, but you can actually get either halal or from a lot of companies. A few companies I've actually seen, and I was shocked when I seen it, that ships clean meat. They have like all kinds of accreditations or what have you, for sending you good meat. It's expensive though, and that's the problem. And a lot of them have monthly subscriptions to where you can't just get it every once in a while. You have to get it every month. But they'll send you, good stuff. But, it's just one of those things to where, as I said, you have to really come to terms with what you're going to take in your body and what you're going to decide to eat and do to combat what they have done to the food. And every day, again, we take it for granted. And every day we just eat, and we eat to fill that need, and we eat to fill that hunger and that void. And, we don't really care. But you have to start caring because, I don't want to see people that I've been talking to on YouTube or Facebook, on Instagram. I don't want to see you, 20 years or what have you from now, with issues because of, food, because of meat. So, I showed you guys in Kemet with the Egyptians preparing meat. It was a lot more to that, those hieroglyphics that was there, to that depiction. But it's something that the ancients understood as far as meat. They didn't have the problems that we have as far as chemicals or what have you, contamination to the meat. But again, it's a reason why they ate meat, because they understand the brain nutrients. Again, there has never been a civilization in recorded history that was vegan or vegetarian at all, because their meat is needed and you need those nutrients. If you decide to go vegan, make sure that you are getting those brain nutrients, and you're doing something to combat not having all of them, because you can't get all of them as far as supplementing them, because they don't have supplements for all of them, and it's weird. So this is something that we're going to have to come together and combat eventually, as far as what these people are doing to the food, because if they get 100% control of the production of food, which I believe they almost have. As I said before, you have about 10 companies that control almost every cosmetic, every product, that we buy. All the little snack foods and what have you are in the hands of a small group of people. And eventually, food itself, food production will be in the hands of a small group of people. And, we got to stop that. We got to make sure that does not happen. Food is everything. If they control food, they control life. They control everything. It's something that we got to be really mindful of. I try to put out as much information as possible. I mean, I'm not going to be doing this forever. This is something I'm not going to be able to do. I have prior, engagements. I have things that I have to do. I have company to take care of and businesses or what have you. So I'm not going to always be around to put videos out. I'm not going to always be on YouTube. You know, I have an idea of what I'm going to be doing in the future, and I know I have a certain amount of time to get out as much DVDs and videos as I can before I stop for a long time. You know, so eventually, you know, I'm not going to be on YouTube. I'm not going to be putting out DVDs anymore, which is why I put out so much, because eventually it'll stop and then that'll be that. You know, and it's things that I have to go forward and do as far as, you know, progress in my life. Of course, I'm always going to be around to help, you know, people of color, to help my people, help black folks, and help, you know, promote unity. So I want to try to get as much information out there, so at least it's out there and it's circulating and people have these DVDs or what have you. And, you know, maybe I'll be able to keep it going. If I have the time, I can, you know, put out what I can put out. But I know, you know, I'll be busy and I travel a lot. And the things I have coming up, I'm not going to be able to put out as much as I would like to. But I definitely will still try to when something is important, I will definitely try to come and put out the video. But when I'm done and everything is out, you know, that'll be it. I'll have the books out, everything will be done. And then, you know, I'll move on. But hopefully by then, you know, I have everything that I have in my head out on video or in books or what have you, because there's a lot in there that I want to put out. It ain't gonna be no time soon, but you know, it'll be eventually. But you know, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch, for making it through the entire video. A lot of people do not watch the entire video, so they miss out on a lot of information and things that I say. I'm starting to notice that more and more. But thank you guys for taking the time to watch. Thanks to everybody who's been supporting. And I'm always going to be on Instagram, Facebook. You can catch me on there, especially Instagram, where I do respond to messages, to, you know, ones that make sense. One of the things I like about Instagram is you can tell who the trolls is. It's easy to find the troll. You can't hide on Instagram. You know, what are you there for? You can tell who the trolls and who the people who just there to, you know, be nosy. But yeah, appreciate everybody for supporting. And I'll see you guys next video.